Okay, today we are talking about literal equations, so make sure you get your date, your page number, the title, and the learning target down. You have to pause it. Make sure you also go back and add it in your table of contents. So here we have a little bit of a pre-test question. The perimeter of a rectangle P can be found using that equation. Rewrite it so that it represents the length of the rectangle. So you are going to answer your pre-test questions. No, you are not expected to know how to do the whole thing right now. So just try your best to make sure you answer the questions to the best of your ability. Okay, so using that example that we were just looking at, it's wanting you to solve for L. So the directions here will be solve for L because it asks you to solve for the length. So when I'm doing that, first let's remember just how to solve any equation that's kind of set up this way. So this is very similar to solving 5 equals 2x plus 9 for x. So my goal is to get x by itself. So if I'm trying to solve this equation to get x by itself, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my line where the equal sign is to separate my equations. And then I'm going to figure out, okay, what am I actually trying to get by itself? Well, here I'm trying to get 2x by itself. So that means anything around it I should move. So I'm going to start by moving 9 to the other side. Now 5 minus 9, those are like terms, so I can actually combine them and get negative 4. And then here on this side, those canceled because that's 0, and I'm left with a 2x. So now I need to get rid of the 2. So I need to take the 2 off of the x. That's 2 times x. So to undo that, I should divide both sides by 2. And I get negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2. And then 2 divided by 2 is 1. You don't have to put the 1, so the answer to that is x. Okay, so that's not bad. For whatever reason, when we take the numbers out, that really freaks people out. So if I looked at the example, this is almost the exact same. So first I need to figure out what variable am I solving for, and in this case, I'm solving for L. And so this term right here is the one that has an L in it. So the one that doesn't have an L in it, I need to move away to the other side. So to move plus 2w to the other side, I would need to subtract it because I want it to be a 0 on this side. I don't want any w's. So what I do to one side, I have to do to the other, just like I did in the example before that. 2 minus 2 is 0, so that's gone, and left on the right side is 2L, which is what I wanted. I'm going to change that to a capital L just so that you can tell, but typically you wouldn't change the case of it. So now I have P minus 2W. Those are not like terms, so I can't actually combine them together like I could the 9 and the 5. So since I can't combine them, I would just write them next to each other. P minus 2W. So I have P minus 2W equals 2L. Okay, so that looks a little bit uglier, but the steps were still the same. Still trying to solve for L, and right now I have a 2 in front of L. So I need to get rid of that, and in order to get rid of that 2, I should divide by 2. Because 2 divided by 2 would leave me with 1L, which is what I'm trying to solve for. Okay. So what I do to one side, I have to do to the other, so I would divide both things by 2. You can either write it as dividing the whole thing by 2 like this, P minus 2W over 2. Some answer choices would let you leave it this way. Other answer choices may make you actually physically solve those both by 2. So like this is a 1P over 2. And then 2 divided by 2 is 1 W. Both of those are acceptable answers. Those are actually the same thing. See, I have P divided by 2, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. Typically, I would let you leave it this way. But you're still solving an equation just like you did when it was 5 equals 2x plus 9. The like terms don't just don't always combine.